Welcome to Only a Podcast. Two blokes upside down and many miles from home talk about popular culture and unpopular culture too. Music, books, films, the news, what we had for dinner last night, anything goes. Apart from politics, probably. Kia ora. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 11 of Only a Podcast. We're still here. We're still going. Say hello, Captain.
Hello, Captain. Yes, we are. We're doing it. And it's feeling a bit more natural these days.
It is. We're doing it a little more regularly as well, which is also good. And trying to keep the episode shorter. We did a shorter episode last time, which hopefully people liked.
Although the big words in the title, don't be put off by the big words, folks. If you haven't listened to it, it's not really about philosophy. Just go back.
No, it's not.
You know,
yeah,
look,
we're
it's
not
us
that clever.
too. Come on, no,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So so that was all right. So another one today. No specific theme. If you got any themes you want us to cover, let us know. We're not experts on anything, but we've probably got something to say about everything. So anything you want us to talk about, we can do that. So, or we'll kick off with a culture catch-up, shall we? Talk about anything we've been...
kind of is, really, yeah.
Digging? Do you want to go?
Digging, okay. Over here in New Zealand, we have a news, current affairs kind of website. It's got everything on it called The Spin-Off. And they've done a 4-part mini-series on YouTube called Take Out Kids. It's by a great documentarian, Chinese-born New Zealander called Julie Zhu. I first saw one of her things called Conversations with My Immigrant Parents, where she interviews lots of her parents and other elderly Chinese people in New Zealand and filmed them. Really good stuff. And she's done a mini-series. They're about 10 minutes, 15 minutes per episode about kids whose parents run restaurants or take-out joints. Yeah. So we have Rama, who's Jordanian, and John, who's Chinese, and Brooklyn, whose parents are Cambodian, and Martinique, who's Samoan. And it's just a little insight into these kids' lives about how they fit into their parents' work environment, sometimes helping, that kind of thing, and how they cope when their parents are not around, when it's busy. And it's really good. It's really excellent. The photography is fantastic. And it's just a little look at these children's lives. I'm going to be making John's fried rice recipe. It looks really great. They all help out, obviously that's an easy part of their lives. They all pitch in and cope, when with a lot of things. They seem to be more resilient than you would perhaps expect of kids that age. They're learning their life lessons. And it's great.
That's interesting. Yeah. That's obviously very similar in the UK. A lot of, takeaways and chippies and that are run by immigrants or people from immigrant descent. It's the same here. A lot of Asians run the fish and chip shops and what have you over here. And I remember it, even as a kid, at school in the 70s and 80s, I'd be at school with kids whose parents were, they ran these takeaways or even corner shops, things like that. And they'd be expected to work in the evenings and at the weekends. And as you say, life lessons there, and hard work pays off. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, the first one, Rama, who works in Petra Shawarma, which is quite close to us. We have been there once a while ago. And I think pretty much the first bit of that is her answering the phone and taking orders and that kind of thing. And it just grabs your interest from there because, it's not just them in the shop. It's the aspects of their lives.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I'm going to check that out. Yeah,
really
sounds good.
Yeah, you can watch the whole thing less than an hour. It's really, really cool.
Yeah. I should show my kids that.
Yeah.
That might teach them a life lesson or two.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, good. What else you got for us, or shall I go next?
You can you do something, as it were.
All right, well, I just want to talk about an album I've been listening to. which is by Tears for Fears. So I'm sure you've all heard of Tears for Fears. They've been on the sort of PR circuit a bit recently with the release of the new album. So I listened to Roland from Tears for Fears on a podcast a few weeks back, Sam Delaney's Reset podcast, which is about men's mental health. Because Roland's been through the mill a bit. He's had a lot going on in his life. His wife died and he's addiction problems, all that kind of stuff. So he's talking about that. And then I I heard both of them from Tears for Fears, Kurt and Roland, on the Soda Jerker podcast, which I mention on here regularly. Yeah. Talking about songwriting and their process. And the new album's great, really very good. And yeah, it's got me thinking, and I've said this before, I think, on a previous episode about bands from when I was a kid, like when I was a teenager, I suppose. You know, like Duran Duran, Spandau Ballet, Wham, all those sorts of bands. It never occurred to me as a 13-year-old that these were musicians. You know, they were just pop stars to me. And it's looking back now, and they're having these resurgence, or you read interviews or autobiographies and stuff like that. You realise, they were actually musicians and they were bands, and they were. You know, I heard on Soda Jerker again. I heard Gary Kemp from Spandau Ballet talking about his songwriting process, and what a brilliant songwriter. You know, that little vocal thing from the song True, which I won't do. He got that from listening to Dig a Pony by the Beatles and Let's Stay Together by Al Green. Those two songs influenced that. And I just thought, they're just a pop group. So I've been going back to a lot of those bands lately and just sort of realising, these were proper bands.
Yeah, it wasn't just some magical thing that appeared.
It never occurred to me. They were faces on Top of the Pops and records in Woolworths. That's all they were to me at the time. But no, they were actually songwriters and things like that. So maybe an episode on that topic specifically in the future, maybe. So anyway, I've been digging that new Tears for Fears album. That's good. I'll carry on with the culture catch-up because this is a bit slightly longer one here, but I'd be interested to know what's the longest you've taken to get through a TV series. Obviously not watching it live. I'm not talking about catch-up or Netflix or whatever. What's the longest anyone's taken? I've just finished, just yesterday, a TV show that I've been watching for, I reckon, at least 4 years. 9 seasons of it, and it's a comedy show called Still Game. Okay, I was put onto it by my buddy Vic back in the UK. Vic, if you're listening, hello, hope you're well. Still Game, I don't know if you've heard of it or if you've seen it, but it's one of those that came from BBC Scotland. So I don't think it made it to BBC England until third or fourth series or whatever. So it's very Scottish. It's the two guys who star in it and wrote it, Ford Kiernan and Greg Hemphill. It's about a couple of old guys, old pensioners on a council estate in a place called Craig Lang, a fictional place, a real shithole in Glasgow. Council estate, they're up in the tower block there, and it's it's one of those comedies that I dip in and out of. Hence, it's taken me 4 years. It's like I've got half an hour to kill. I'll watch an episode of Still Game, so you don't need to invest anything into it. You can just watch it and just have a laugh. And all these great characters. It's gone for 9 seasons, 2002 to 2019. Many guest stars. I think it's cult status in Scotland. So people like Claire Grogan, Midge Ure, Martin Compston, Craig Ferguson, Ronnie Ancona, Lorraine Kelly, Robbie Coltrane, Celia Imrie. All those people have appeared in cameo roles. They did some live shows. They filled up an arena for a week or something up there. So it's a big deal in Scotland. So Still Game. It's good fun. So I got to the end of that. Watched the last episode.
On Netflix.
It's all on Netflix now. I think it's on BBC iPlayer as well if you don't have Netflix and you're in the UK. It's one of those, it's a light-hearted, funny comedy, but the last episode's really poignant. It's one of those tearjerker last episode jobs. But it was great. And in researching this for this episode, I looked up the actors' profiles. And they're all pensioners, right? They're all retired, and and I found out all the actors are younger than me when it was recorded. Yeah. So, either I'm doing very well, or it was good makeup. But it was all the younger actors playing older parts. But that was a big culture catch up for me this week, getting to the end of Still Game. So I don't know what I'm going to do without it, really.
Well done.
Yeah. Yeah, so check it out, everyone, if you just want a bit of a laugh, and especially if you're Scottish. I think you'll enjoy it. If you're Scottish, you probably know about it anyway, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, back to you.
Back to me.
Back to the studio.
I'm going to flip back to some albums, and it's turning into a bit of a multicultural episode, this, I think.
Careful.
After what we were saying last time around about the novelty of electronic pop when we were kids and that kind of stuff. And then, what was it, International Women's Day got in the way of what I was doing, so I got distracted from that as well. But as it turned out at the time, I was listening to a couple of albums. One by Nilufer Yanya. I hope I don't mispronounce that. She was born in England, but she has Irish, Barbadian and Turkish heritage.
Wow.
There you go. And also another one by Charlotte Adjiri and Boli Pupul. And it's electronic pop. It's both these albums, pretty much. It's fairly sophisticated stuff. Charlotte was born in France of Caribbean and African slave trade descent, but grew up in Belgium. And Boli Pupul is Belgian Chinese.
Wow.
Yeah. Their album is called Topical Dancer, which kind of does what it says in the title, really. It's electronic dance pop with a kind of hard edge to the lyrics, let's say. It's terrific stuff. And the Nilufer Yanya album, I'd listened to her stuff before. I think the album was called Miss Universe, which was a bit of a sort of art pop collage of things, a bit experimental for me, so it didn't really click. But this next one is called Painless. It's out now, folks, and that does hang together really well. There's still fairly adventurous instrumentation, but it's more song oriented. Let's say that's the way to do it. And we were also talking last time about there was nothing new in music, but maybe multiculturalism and those influences do make things sound fresh and notable.
Yeah, it's a good point.
That said, I'm going to go back and give you a touchstone to what these albums sound like, because I have to, and that's the kind of thing that I do. And if anyone out there has listened to the Grace Jones albums of the 80s, Warm Leatherettes and Night Clubbing and Slave to the Rhythm and that kind of thing, you will like both of these albums, Topical Dancer and Painless. That's my touchstone. There's a track on Topical Dancer called Making Sense Stop. And your Talking Heads fans will spot the reference there. So there's another little reference about what you might expect from these records.
Okay.
And I'm still listening to them. I've kind of only just got into them over the last week and a bit or so. But I'm still going to be listening to them for a little while. Quite intriguing. So there you go. And we'll put some links in the show notes to some YouTube stuff from both these records.
Yeah.
It's great.
Cool. That's good stuff. I was listening to Grace Jones only this weekend, funny enough. So
there you go.
That's topical.
Yeah. You know, sometimes you're watching normal telly or even paid for telly, and there's adverts, and adverts come along and you think, not this one again, because it's so appalling, or just nags, just annoying. You know, it's not because it's a terrible thing, but it's just they've picked a tagline or something that just gets in your head. I'd like to whinge a lot. Well, no, we'll keep it short. But about the Bergen advert, it's bread, folks. If you don't know what Bergen is, it is English bread, I think, but they've got an umlaut over the U, so it's kind of Germanic and suggested European connection that most British companies these days will probably try to deny at all costs, except, this is marketing, so we have to say that this bread is sophisticated and European rather than boring English bread. And I've got a joke here, but it's a very weak one, but they're not Motorhead. not even Motorbread. The umlauts.
Yeah, I got it, Captain.
But if you've seen it, it's awful. The actors in it are extremely unlikely people. If you're buying Bergen, you can afford it, and you're going to be a bit upper middle class, I reckon. So there are lots of other upper middle class actors in it, but they say non-English things like "it's good tucker in it" in a kind of almost but not quite Cockney accent. What, are you Australian or are you English? And is it because you can put a down under voiceover on it and play it in Australia and get Australians to buy Bergen? I don't know, but nobody's voiced it over for the New Zealand market. So what you get is upper middle class English people saying words that they would never ever say. There's an Indian guy that says "lovely jubbly" in quite a posh way, but the actor and the character have obviously never ever said these words before in their lives. They're saying completely unlikely words. His wife has never said the word "wicked" before in her life until this advert, until she's been told to say it. The Indian guy, you're a medical professional. You don't say things like "lovely jubbly" in your life, but you do in this advert, and it gets.
I don't think I've seen this advert.
On my nerves.
I don't know how I've missed it.
Bergen advert.
I'll look out for it.
People who
used to get those.
Yeah, go on.
Those shows in the UK you used to get, and you might still get them, called the world's funniest commercials or things like that. There were always loads from New Zealand.
Yeah,
they're quite well known for their sort of imaginative TV commercials, but this is obviously not one of them.
Yeah, it brings to mind one of those probably we used to have, and it may be still there, though I haven't seen it lately. It was kind of done on PowerPoint, I think, or something like that, very early or very basic, and that never ever changed. And it got the message over completely well, because it was basically a glass would smash and the graphic on the screen would split up as if it was smashing glass. And it was Auckland glass. And if something breaks, call Auckland glass. I forget the entire... Yeah, forget the script. I hesitate to call it a script, but it basically said that for 30 seconds. Call Auckland glass, smash, tinkle, phone number come on screen. End of. And why? Why not? Because it said the things you wanted to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Your glass is broken. Ring up these guys. That was it. And it was fine.
There was a series of commercials on UK TV, which might have been after you left, Captain, but it was a paint, I think, or Ronseal. I think it's Ronseal. It does exactly what it says on the tin.
Yeah.
Was the advert, so if you remember those. But
I do know that one. Yeah.
I should say this episode is not sponsored by Auckland Glass.
No.
Although, get in touch if you want to sponsor us, Auckland Glass. Well, you make great glass, so
you've done good repairs.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen that one over here called Smith & Smith, the car windscreen? Again, you might not know this from the Autoglass ads in the UK.
Is it the same kind of thing?
It's the same. I think it's the same company. It's the same logo. But
do they both repair and replace?
Replace. It's the same song, but so it's Autoglass repair, Autoglass replace. Over here, it's because they sponsored Chelsea, didn't they, for a while? It's Smith & Smith, but it's the same logo, same branding, so it's obviously a franchise or something. But it's even the same song. They've just changed the words.
Cool.
Okay, an episode on adverts. Make a note of that. That could there'd be a bit of mileage in that. Okay, good stuff. I'm going to talk about Glastonbury. Very quickly. The lineup's just been announced, which I'm sure anyone who's interested will have seen it. I've never been to Glastonbury. Have you ever been to Glastonbury, Captain?
No, I have been to big festivals, but it sounds posh to mention the biggest festival that I've been to, so I won't. But
okay. Same.
I've never been to Glastonbury.
No, I haven't. I've been to a few of the others, Reading and V Festival and things like that. It doesn't really appeal to me. there's a song called "The Campaign for Real Rock" by Edwin Collins a few years ago, which he's quite scathing about music festivals. So have a listen to that. The lyrics made it onto the London Underground Poems on the Underground thing they did years ago. So that. So I've never been to Glastonbury. I've been to V and a few others, but looking at the lineup. So interestingly, following on from what I was saying on the last episode about solo females being very strong these days. You've got Billie Eilish headlining. There's Arlo Parks, who I've been really into lately. There's Kate LeBon, Charlie XCX, Courtney Barnett, brilliant. You've got Crowded House representing. First Aid Kit. Most of them I haven't heard of course, because I'm old, but I've heard of some of them. Elbow, Fontaines DC, Herbie Hancock, Jarvis, Jesus and Mary Chain, so on and so on. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is the fact that Paul McCartney is headlining. Cool. Now, this is going to be a few days, I think, after his 80th birthday, right? 80, which makes him the oldest headliner of Glastonbury. And there have been a few, senior headliners in recent years, but I've dug out some facts and figures which I'll just go through really. So this year the average age of the headliners will be 45 years and 2 months. So you've got from Billie Eilish to Paul McCartney. You've got Diana Ross, Paul McCartney.
Oh, there you go.
Billie Eilish and Kendrick Lamar, which I don't know what a Kendrick Lamar is. I'm sorry, I don't know what that is. So I can't comment on Kendrick Lamar, sorry. There was one year where the average was older, which was 2019, where the average was 49 years and 1 month. But it's been increasing every year, the average. So in 1997, the average was 26 years and 5 months. So it was, you had the Prodigy, Radiohead and Ash. And then from 1998 to 2008, the average crept up to being in the 30s. But then since 2009, the average age has been over 40 every year, with the exception of 2014, where it was 39. That was Kasabian and Arcade Fire. In 2016, you had Adele, Muse and Coldplay, which brought the average to 37. But that's it's quite interesting how the average age is creeping up. This whole thing about, is there any new music, new artists?
Or is it just purely, let's get them because
they're people. Yeah, exactly. So the oldest year we had was 2009, where we had Neil Young, Bruce Springsteen and Blur. So the oldest combined age. Interestingly, about Billie Eilish, she'll be the youngest solo headliner ever, and the youngest female headliner ever. So good for you, Billie. She's very good. She deserves all that. Arctic Monkeys, when they first headlined, they were all 21, which is pretty young to headline Glastonbury. They were also the newest band to ever headline Glastonbury. So they headlined 18 months after their first album came out, after their debut album.
What year was that then? 07, 06? Yeah,
something like that. Didn't make a note of the year, but a year and a half after the album, they were headlining Glastonbury. And they take that record by just ahead of Coldplay and Stormzy, who were 2 years after their debut album, headlining Glastonbury. So, just dug out a few Glastonbury age facts there, but never been. Will probably never go. Would like to know if any of you out there have got any stories, anything. I know a few people that go every year and have been going for years and years. I don't know how you manage to get tickets, but I know plenty of people that go regularly to Glastonbury. Maybe I'll go one day. Who knows?
I'd never say never, but I think my festival days are possibly beyond me.
It's just too much.
I could do a one-dayer. Perhaps, and if it's quite close by. But a multi-day festival, probably not. I don't think.
Especially Glastonbury, it's vast. I mean, what is it, 250,000 people or something, isn't it? It's enormous.
Yeah.
Enormous, and you have to walk about 4 miles. If you're one of the faraway campsites, you're walking for an hour, aren't you, to get to the stage? But they're the best campsites to be on, I think, from my experience of festivals. Get the faraway ones and do the walk, because it's worth it. But
the biggest thing I've ever been to, I am going to mention it now, it was Coachella, which was an amazing experience of my life. Thank you to my friend Kevin Bronson of busbands.la, plug. Thank you, Kev, who hosted me at that particular festival, and it's about 55,000 folks go there, I think. So it's not ginormous, but that topped everything for me. That was 2007, and I think once I've done that, I've kind of done it. It's like festivals are done now. It could never get any better than this. Fantastic hot weather. Good access. I had a little wristband that got me into a few places, and nice. Terrific.
Yeah, I was lucky enough. The good thing about festivals is obviously you get to see lots and lots of great bands.
There is that.
You do get a clash, unfortunately, if you've got two on at the same time, that can happen. But I was lucky enough to be at Reading 95, which, as everyone knows, 1995 was the best year for music ever. I think you'll find if you look at the albums released. So I saw some huge acts that year. Festivals generally. I think my days are done of festivals. I prefer the Dunedin Jazz Club these days. Nice. Yeah.
My festival, I wouldn't. The kind of festivals that we're talking about, I wouldn't be able to take my festival chair to. I now have a festival chair, which are those sort of short-legged things that means you can't sit on the ground anymore for more than 5 minutes before you seize up. So I have to have one of these things. But the kind of rock festival we're talking about wouldn't probably, festival chair wouldn't go
work
down too well.
No,
it's more for sort of opera, kind of in a nice vineyard,
Shakespeare in the Park kind of thing.
That'll do. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah, good. Okay, I've said everything I wanted to say. We're trying to keep these episodes under half an hour, so we've achieved that today.
I got one plug. Which is a site that I've written things for. It's called Toppermost.
Yep.
Beatles Klaxon, because that's where they were going, to the toppermost of the poppermost back in the day. That was a saying that they had. It's run by a guy called Merrick Davidson, and the premise, or whatever you want to call it, is that people like bands and artists, and they choose their 10 favourite songs, and they write about them, and they submit that to Merrick, and he puts it on the site with some YouTube links. So it's like a primer for bands. So if you want to know about, you think you want to know about, I don't know, Amen Corner, the band, you go and have a look. And they might be on there, and there'll be 10 songs, and you can get a sort of starter pack of songs to listen to that someone else thinks are the greatest or the most interesting, or however they decide to classify it, that band or artist has done. And it's a great place to go and have a mooch around. As I say, I've written for it in the past, and Merrick has launched an Instagram account recently, so we're getting to see all these things again, and he's linking to my stuff occasionally, which is cool. So it's only fair to give him a plug on here and say, go to toppermost.co.uk and search for the bands that you're interested in, and read the articles therein. Yeah,
I've spent a bit of time on Toppermost myself, and I can concur. Yeah, it's a great place for a quick start guide to a band you've never heard of. You can browse up and down, and I've heard of them, but I don't know their music. So it'll give you a good start. Great, good stuff.
Cool.
Right, normally there's a joke at this point, but today not. I've got a quiz question for you.
Ooh,
sport quiz question. So in the 1980s. Who played football for Scotland and cricket for England?
Oh. Wow. I have to think about that one. Are we going to tell the answer?
I'll tell you the answer now, shall I?
Oh, okay.
It's Kenny Dalglish and Ian Botham.
Ha-ha!
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm here all week. Okay, we're done. Onlyapodcast.com, at onlyapodcast on Twitter, and all that. We're on Facebook and all that as well. You know where we are because you found us already.
That's right.
Drop us a line. Subscribe. Please like and subscribe and share.
Some likes.
Yeah, let's have lots of likes and that. And emojis or slide into our DMs. Which used to, I think that means, in English, that means send me a message.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you slide into people's DMs these days. You don't send them a message. Which, when I was a kid, if someone tried to slide into my DMs, I think they were trying to put my boots on. Different times. Right. Okay, folks. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the other side. Say goodbye, Captain.
Goodbye, Captain.
Bye.
You've been listening to Only a Podcast. If you'd like to get in touch and share your feedback and ideas, we'd love to hear from you. Go to onlyapodcast.com, or you can find us at Only a Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, or via our Facebook page. Remember, it's only a podcast.